Alright, welcome back to the Ramble. Today we are interviewing someone who we've had beforehand, but today it's going to be more of an informal chat. Everyone will know him. If you don't, top right of your screen, there's going to be a link to the previous episode we've had with him, and it's Samuel Davie.
Hello.
There you go. Deputy head boy, still going strong, and he's going to do the Culture Club. Would you like to talk about a little bit about that, just before we start?
So, Culture Club, it's essentially to offer the opportunity to smaller groups of students go to cultural events, so plays, opera, concerts, whatever people want, basically, within reason. And it's just to offer that wider enrichment.
Yeah, sounds great, because I mean, obviously, not many people are exposed to kind of these cultural opportunities, so by giving them the opportunity, that's always great.
Yeah. But
today, the main focus is going to be about the CCF. Now, Sam is part of the RAF, boo, obviously, and I'm part of the Army. And so we're just going to talk about a little bit. It's going to be less of an interview and more of just like an informal chat about what the CCF is, the skills you gain from it, and like the potential benefits of joining. So, Sam, we'd like to kick off. What is the CCF? If there's anything I want to add on.
Yeah, sure. So the CCF, or to give it its full name, the Combined Cadet Force, is a civilian organisation, and it gives its cadets the opportunity to enrich themselves through military-styled activities. Currently, you can join at the beginning of Year 9, and from there, that goes all the way through to Year 13.
And obviously, if you're in Year 10 right now and think you'd like to join the CCF, by all means do. I mean, it's never too late. You can always join. And still gain all the skills that you would from lower down, but it's better to start in Year 9, just have a good kind of base knowledge, and then you work your way up through all the ranks. Talking about ranks,
yes.
Do you want to talk about the RAF structure first?
Yes.
It's almost the same, but you have slightly different names.
Yeah, so in the RAF section, you'll start as a cadet. Actually, when you first start, we call you a recruit rather than a cadet. And then through that, as you gain experience, qualifications and so on, you will climb the rank structure. So you'll go from cadet to lance corporal to corporal, corporal to sergeant, which is where I am currently. Above that you have flight sergeant and cadet warrant officer. Cadet warrant officer, I think I'm right in saying you actually have to be 18 to hold, unless you have special permission. Additionally, there are other things like Lord Lieutenant's Cadet, and that's actually representing the CCF at a county level. Do
you think you have extra responsibilities as Lord Lieutenant, like the cadet for it?
Last academic year, we had Kaviru de Zoyza, who's a member of our contingent who was Lord Lieutenant's Cadet, and he attended ceremonial events in his capacity as Lord Lieutenant's Cadet. He also got to wear the RAF's full dress uniform rather than the cadet
I was just about to say that,
uniform.
Because on the screen I'll put a picture of him right now. You, if you join the RAF, probably will not wear this. You'll wear the regular uniform.
So we have what we call Wedgwood blues, which are for ceremonial wear. We then have working blues, and you can then also wear combats, at which point you become virtually indistinguishable from the army section, who wear combats basically the entire time.
Yeah. I've heard that this academic year we're going to have 120 new recruits, which is a lot.
There is probably no better contingent in the country to be a member of the CCF without going to a private school. And even for private school contingents, if you include those as well, we're probably still in the top 10. For example, the RAF section came, I think it was 6th overall in national tournament this year.
Yep. And with the combat cadet, I know that we've come 2nd place.
Yeah.
Which was really good. So yeah, you can see very high scores.
Yeah, and that 6th place at nationals for the RAF section, King's was the highest ranking non-fee paying school.
And if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. So yeah, now I'll just go through the army ranking system as well, just to tie it back. Yeah, you'll begin as a recruit, then you'll kind of unofficially become a cadet once you get a little bit more experience, but there isn't really much difference. Then you'll become lance corporal. That's when you get a little bit more responsibility, and you get 1 stripe, one chevron on your rank slide. Next up is corporal, which is where I'm at now. Then it's sergeant with 3 stripes. And if you get to the very top, then you are staff sergeants. But yeah, so during the CCF, Sam, what do you do? So I know a lot of people would have seen that you do drill in the quad.
Yep.
That's a small part of it.
Yes. Other than drill, which you will do when you first join in the run up to Remembrance, you will do an awful lot of, because we need you to be able to parade on Remembrance Day. We also do a lot of sort of classroom-based stuff, so things like map reading. For the RAF, it's things like how the physics of how aircraft fly. There's things like that, and then when you get to more advanced levels, it's things like how jet engines work, how piston engines work.
So that's a bunch of like knowledge and kind of theory that you learn.
Yeah.
During the thing. So you have a lot more classroom time, I think.
Yes.
Compared to the army. We don't have any drill competitions like the RAF do, but to replace that we have like a combat cadet, a bunch of training that simulates what a soldier would have in the army. So you'll be quote unquote raiding houses. You do some like nights out, obviously. You eat rations, you have to cook them yourself. And you just do a bunch of military-related exercises. You have to wake up at like 6 a.m. as well, I've heard. It's a grueling experience, and you have to do a bunch of training before you go as well. There'll be like PT sessions where you'll be running around the field, making sure you can get there at a reasonable time, just so they can actually get onto the course. I mean, I've heard it's a worthwhile experience to go there. So yeah, if you're going for the CCF, you should aim to go there.
It's worth saying as well, in terms of being physically fit, etc. The cadets encourage you to be physically fit, and there is a certain basic level of fitness, but I've never felt
that we were incapable of doing it.
No, and I'm not a massively sporty person, and I've never had an issue with what the cadets do in terms of my fitness.
Yeah. The only time I found that you need to be a little bit strong, I guess, is in horse trials.
So we have the contingent has a deal with, I think it's a family who run horse trials in the Grantham area, and they essentially give the CCF quite a hefty donation. In return for some manual labour. You get, is it 4 of them a year?
Yes, around, yeah. It's got Thorsby to Shelford and Noseby.
Yeah, and that's things like parking cars and putting fences up when horses knock them over and that kind of thing. But even then, that's not heavy physical labour.
Yeah. You have to have some sort of discipline as well, because obviously if you're running, if a horse knocks off a pole, and then they're still running the track, you don't want to kind of cross paths with it and you get trampled by a horse. So you have
that's a bad idea.
It's very bad. So you have to have some discipline, remember what the course is like. But at the very end, once you wrap up the horse trials, you have to pick up all the wings. Or like you have to move all of those.
Yeah, no.
Those are very heavy. But that is the hardest thing I've done at CCF, like physically.
I'd say, yeah, to be honest, one of the hardest things is normally shifting your gear around on an exercise.
With a Bergen, you'll have, so a Bergen is like a massive bag. They'll have all your stuff in. You have your sleeping bag, your kind of roll mat in that as well. And you'll often also have like a day bag next to it.
Yeah.
So you have your big bag for all the stuff you're going to have for like your day-to-day routine. And then you have your day bag. You don't have to carry everything around with you all the time. So for example, at horse trials, you'll be there for about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
It'll be ridiculous for you to carry around your Bergen to every single stand. That would be, very weird.
Horrific.
So, yeah. So we encourage you to have like a day bag to put all like your drinks, your food in there, and then you can just take that to each of the stands. So stands are dressage, where it's like horses dancing around, showing off to some judges. You have car parking, which is the most hectic. And if you ever get radio, you'll hear a bunch of communication from car parking about how everything's going bad, but it resolves itself by the end. And there's also show jumping, which is where you pick up all the poles once the riders get up.
Normally quite laid back until it's not.
Yes, that's my personal favourite one. Yeah.
And get on the self-discipline angle.
Yeah.
That's something CCF is really good for generally. I'm not trying to sound like a parent, but actually things like having to iron your uniform, having to polish your shoes, it doesn't take long. It takes me probably half an hour the evening before CCF to do all of that.
Yeah, and even me, like year 9 to 11, I think I did not polish my shoes.
Did you not?
Once. No, because they weren't proper army shoes, so you just couldn't polish them.
Oh,
right.
okay. Yeah.
So I was like, alright, fine, I'll just wipe it down out of all the dirt and then it'll just be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, do try and get proper army boots, because the ones that I had were just regular boots and they were just uncomfortable. They just did not work, and they were not waterproof either. Most army boots are waterproof, and you'll definitely need that for exercises.
Key thing, invest in good combat boots. I would also suggest buying brown. Invest in a good set of boots because you'll be able to use it long after CCF if you look after them. I bought some Altbergs a couple of years ago. Cost me an awful lot, but they're going to last me 20 years if I look after them, and because I enjoy going walking, that kind of thing anyway, I'm going to get use out of them long after CCF.
As another owner of Altbergs, I can tell you, it does cost a fortune, but it also, it's very durable.
Yeah.
Like with the other ones, if I went through some bushes, there would immediately be scratches everywhere. But with Altbergs, you just polish it off and it's,
good as new.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't just go for it because it's the most expensive, but on Maypole, for example, it's a 15-mile hike out to the site on the first day. If you aren't wearing good footwear, you are going to suffer.
If you're listening to this and you actually do want to get into the CCF but think it might be really expensive to get in, It's not. You have like a deposit that you pay in just to have like all the uniform. Once you give the uniform back, I think they give you the deposit back anyway. And any equipment that you think you'll need to buy, you can borrow from the stores anyway. So like for example, the webbing, the Bergens that I was talking about.
Even day sacks.
Yeah.
Even if you need to, sleeping bags and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We have stocks of them.
Yeah, literally everything that you'd need, we can provide. I mean, I'd say maybe
the only real exception to that is footwear.
Maybe bungee cords and tent pegs. That's the only thing they really need.
They're not expensive.
No.
Yeah, so we've talked a bit about training exercises. As a new recruit, your basic fieldcraft training package will happen over 3 exercises. So we have 2 day exercises, one at Wyville, which will be things like cooking rations, constructing a basher, which is what your sort of night shelter is normally as a cadet. And there's also a navigation exercise and some other bits. There's then Stoke Rochford, which is things like basic first aid, patrolling skills, so things like obstacle crossings. Then, depending on quite when it is in the year, we have March Hare / Maypole, and that is a 15-ish mile hike out to Osby, and then that's on the first day, and then we have a evening / night exercise, and then on the second day there's sort of a competition between you're organised into sections, and it's testing and teaching simultaneously things like your first aid, navigation skills, trolling skills, your ability to remain hidden whilst pursuing an objective, something known as a stalk.
You maybe listen to this and feel like there's a lot of repetition, but you do need to like solidify the knowledge a lot. Like even I sometimes struggle with like navigation with compass.
Yeah.
Even now.
Yeah.
So just having, cause it's not like in maths where you have like a bearing and you just kind of work it out on
a
the
piece
compass
of
and
paper.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's completely different because you have like a map, and we talked about this in Mr. Adams's video. See that one? I'll also put a link to that in the top right. But it's good to like repeat these skills over and over again, because then it kind of solidifies and you got it whenever you need it. You know, whenever you're stressed, you know exactly what you need to do. But yeah, even so, after all of those exercises, the kind of very end exercise that you do is like summer camp.
Yeah.
Where you spend about a week at an army barracks and you just do various exercises there as well.
Yeah.
And that's where, I mean, me and Sam did that a few years back.
Yeah. So it's worth saying on that's an army thing. Occasionally they have free places that they then offer to air cadets.
Yeah.
Which is how I got onto it. Yeah, we went. It was 50 places for the contingent.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there.
And
most of them not around us anymore. A lot of them have left.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's worth noting that by the time you hit sixth form, there will probably only be sort of 15 or so within your year in the CCF.
Well, yeah, still doing it. I mean, in year 9 there'll be maybe like half the year, maybe like a quarter of the year doing it. But a lot of people will kind of quit. Well, that's fine. I mean, it's good to try out a bunch of these things like the CCF. Originally, it might not appeal to you, but it might grow onto you, and that's what I had. I mean, I was in year 9. I didn't think really too much of the CCF. I was like, I mean, I may as well try it. There's no hurts from doing it, and especially in the later years. So now in the sixth form and year 11, you get a lot more responsibility, and that's something that I really liked. Yeah, you'll get kind of told what to do in the lower years, but that's because you need to learn kind of how to do everything, like, you know, how to march, how to operate a rifle, you know, all the stoppage drills and all that kind of stuff. But then once you get to the later years, you'll then start teaching the lower years of how to actually do all this, and that's where you get the satisfaction of being able to like share the wisdom that you've had over the years and kind of give them tips on, oh, you should do that on this camp, this and that. And yeah, I think it's a really nice community to be a part of, really.
Oh, big thing for the RAF. We will do everything the army do, just slightly less of the sort of fieldcraft stuff. Big benefit to the RAF is that you get to go flying and gliding. I would recommend the experience to anyone and everyone. Gliding is a very surreal experience because there's no engine. The only noise is the sound of the wind around the airframe and sort of creaking occasionally, which is slightly disconcerting.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is that if you're really tall, it's hard.
Yes, so that was a problem I ran into. They actually had to put me in the back seat because I wouldn't fit in the front. Right. And even then I only just fit. You still get to go shooting, do these field exercises, all the rest. Yeah. That's not closed off to you. But you have this other stuff as well.
So the last thing I'll say is that if you're part of the CCF, you can also come to the Air Rifle Club on Fridays. That's after school, and you're positioned about 10 meters-ish away from a target. You have an air rifle, and you're just trying to get the best grouping that you can get. And we also have competitions for that. So if you get like a really good grouping or some like really good scores, you might get selected for these teams, and you know, this is some really good experience to have, and good to have in your personal statement. They've won some competitions, you got some trophies, just some extracurricular stuff. And I guess that's one of these like really good things about the CCF, is that you have like a good extracurricular thing to tie everything together. CCF will help you with your kind of leadership skills, your teamwork, and basically like all the values at King's. And it also, you know, shows your self-discipline. Like, so having this really concise detail you can put into your personal statement, you can say, you know, I'm in the CCF for this many years. It packs so much detail into just such a small amount of words. And I think that's what's really valuable with it. And like Sam said, we're one of the best in the country. So that just packs another punch into it. I mean, obviously, remember, even if you don't like it after the first few weeks or first few months, you can always leave it afterwards, and there's going to be no shame from it. I mean, like I said, by the end of year 12, there's about 15 people from 100 that join in year 9. So don't worry about it. It's not, you're not going to be, you know, mocked and like, you know, bullied just because you left. So I mean, that's the CCF in a nutshell. Thank you very much, Sam Davie, for coming on the podcast today.
No worries.
And, you know, giving us some insight about what the RAF do in the CCF curriculum. Thank you very much for everyone listening to this, and I'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye bye.